Welcome again to the Built Different podcast. As always, Ricky, Sean, Justin, Raul in the background making the magic happen. Wanted to say hello to everybody this week. Been a pretty good week so far, but it's only Monday, so lots of things to come, and that's kind of the life of a startup. You don't know what's going to happen from week to week, day to day, minute to minute, second to second. So we wanted to discuss a little bit about that today, like kind of what it's like working in a startup. There's a lot of people that want to start companies. They may be hesitant, and one of the things that happen in a startup, as you probably heard my phone going off the background, your phone goes off a lot. So keep that in mind if you want to start a startup. But today we're going to discuss it. Obviously we all have three different perspectives on it. And we'll kind of discuss that. I've obviously the resident here, the longest tenured person here. So, my perspective may be a little different from, somebody that came in a little later, Justin. So, but no, we wanted to discuss that kind of the highs and lows. If anybody's thinking of starting a business out there, what to look out for. And yeah, with that being said, I'm just gonna leave the floor to start off with maybe Justin being the newer individual on this team. What is, kind of coming from a background that you had and your previous working experiences. What has it been like? Working for a startup.
I've really enjoyed this experience working for a startup. My previous job where I used to work in like politics, local politics in Orlando, and I used to work for a couple of consultants there, and that was definitely a lot like a big workload and stuff. But it was kind of like a at the time that I graduated and started working, that was like an election season, so it was a very busy time. There was so much to do, but it was a lot of very like similar things going to different political events or doing press releases, a lot of writing basically, a lot of like press releases, social media posts, fundraising letters, things like that. But when it comes to something like this, I think what I enjoy the most is that every day is very different, which I kind of got a little bit of when I was doing in politics. But here it's just like one day we're working on social media posts, the next day we're working on the website, things like that. That's exciting. I've never had like a boring day working with you guys. It's always been very just exciting. And I also love the fact that I have or you guys give me like independence to really like if I see something that I want to do or if there's something that I feel like I can help out with, that you guys are just like go for it and see if you can improve something or make something better or start something. So uh, as far as like working for a startup, that's probably like my favorite thing so far, is that I just have like freedom that I didn't really have before.
How about yourself, Sean? What would you say is kind of what would you say your perspective is on a startup and your experience so far?
Yeah. I mean, this isn't the first. This is not the first startup I've worked in. I worked in uh, at least one before this. And you know, I think every startup is different, but at the same time, they all kind of do, like Justin said, have the same idea of creative freedom. You
Hmm.
give people the freedom to kind of like do what they uh want to do what they're able to do, and also like it really more more so for me, I would say it like breeds versatility because it's like
Hmm.
in a startup lifestyle, especially in the role that I've kind of transitioned to. I was involved in literally every different department throughout my time with Extropian. It was like, one day, like Justin said, one day you'd be doing marketing, one day you'd be doing, you know, data analytics, one day you'd be doing um, content for the website, and it was just like constantly changing and constantly evolving, um, which set me up for the ability to do what I'm doing now, which is kind of a COO role and you know working with and overseeing a bunch of those different departments that I got experience in. So if it wasn't for a startup environment, I don't think like most big companies aren't going to have you like working in all those different departments and like getting all that different experience. So I think that's one of my favorite things, and then also just room for growth. I would not have expected to be where I am at now. I did like that was not what I envisioned 5 years ago for where I'm at, but I couldn't be happier with where I'm at the same time. Um, so there's just the ability to, like work hard and see what you're working on really grow and like grow at a super super quick rate because it's a bigger company is only going to grow so much um each you know each section versus like a startup you're starting with something so small that like every milestone and everything that you hit just feels amazing. So I think that's probably one of my favorite parts. What about you, Ricky? I know you've been at the grind for a long time, and you've also had experience as well in the corporate world as well. So how has the startup been different for you?
Well, the corporate world, I'm glad you mentioned that, and you have kind of mentioned, you know, the glass ceiling. Um, that's the thing about a startup is like you kind of set the floor, and you don't have to have a roof on the damn thing, because it's like a limitless, endless process because you literally are instilling and putting everything into a company to make it grow. Um, but going from the corporate world where there was like a glass ceiling, yeah, there was no real room for growth. You
Where
were
did you
just a
work?
number. So because I kind of don't want to say because
Oh,
it's like I'm gonna be saying things maybe not in the most positive light, but yeah, there was a I'll tell you after the podcast, obviously, but yeah, and I'm not just speaking about my last 9 to 5 employer. That was any job I had. I had several jobs, but um, the unfortunate thing was like I'm not gonna sugarcoat this podcast. You got to kiss some ass in the corporate world sometimes to get ahead. And honestly, that's why I didn't like, now that I'm on this role now, I'm kind of on a soapbox, but yeah, I'm gonna be more candid about it. I didn't like it because I mean, I'm not an ass kisser. A lot of people that moved up in the company were kissing ass at a rapid pace every day, and that's just not me. At the same time, too, in the corporate world, you're helping to build somebody else's dream, which is a cool thing to do if you believe in that dream, or if you feel like you're a part of building that dream. And I didn't feel that way. And with the startup, you're kind of it doesn't make sense for you to join a startup if you don't believe in that dream or that vision that's put out there because that's what the startup is. You know what I mean? You're literally grinding based on the vision and the belief in what the company's doing. And if there's no sense in you being in the startup if you don't believe in those things or you don't see the vision or you don't want to build the dream. And but yeah, with that glass ceiling being there, man, it was just you kind of know that there's a limit to how far you can go. Um, you're never really going to be where you could be in a startup. Um, you know, yeah, so it's just really a blessing. I mean, I don't take it a moment for granted that I had with my previous jobs because it built me to want what I want with this company. It built me to want to do things differently. There was a lot of things I didn't like culturally in those companies that I want to change with us. Um, and then yeah, it's a blessing as well because I get to pick who I work with. Like a lot of times in those corporate jobs, you don't have a choice. You may hate your coworkers, you may hate your boss. So we can kind of build this culture where we all kind of believe the same things. We get along. We share we're sharing the experience together, like all the highs and the lows, all the pain and the suffering, the happy times. We all kind of share that together, and it's kind of like more like a family than really a business. You know what I mean? It's more like a family than that kind of corporate structure where nobody really cares about you. They just care about what you can do, and I think that's what's different about the startup life. But yeah, we're all kind of feeding and building this thing together, and that's the beauty of a startup versus the time I had in the corporate world. Yeah, and like I said, I'm not kissing ass to get anywhere.
And one thing that you mentioned, Ricky, or it kind of hinted on it, is I think too, I'm a big believer that, whatever job you're doing, you should enjoy it. You should love doing it. And a lot of people who are in that 9 to 5 lifestyle don't particularly love what they do. They do it and I'm sure they're good at it, but it's not like something where they wake up and they're like, wow, I'm excited to do this at work today. It's like most people don't have that genuine passion. I mean, some people do, and there are plenty of jobs where people do have that passion. I think, the idea of working at a startup, especially something like you said, where you believe in the vision and the dream and everything like that, that is what creates that like enjoyment for work and the enjoyment for what you're doing and your role in building. Because, like you said, you're not going to join a startup if you don't believe in what they're doing. Like
Hmm.
kind of that's like most of the point of wanting to join a startup is that belief, that dream resonates with you. So I think that's a huge factor too. Is it's like I haven't had a ton of experience working in the corporate world, but from what I've heard from friends and coworkers and family and everything like that, a lot of people in that lifestyle just don't have a genuine enjoyment for what they do. And I feel like within our company, a lot of people enjoy what they do and they enjoy their role in making this thing happen.
Yeah, and it's my lack of enjoyment came from not feeling like I was heard. Like, you feel like you're not valued. You feel like your input's not really valued. And I think that's the difference with a startup. Like, you're contributing to a greater good. Um, your efforts are like, your efforts are you know, bring your efforts are essentially um are gonna coincide with whatever the end goal is. You know, it's not like I'm not gonna lie, what I was doing. I would look back at it in the corporate world and be like, how is this contributing to anything? How am I changing anybody's life? How am I helping people? Like doing this spreadsheet or this project, like really, what is this doing for the greater good of anything? And that's not the way a startup is. Every little thing you do, it's contributing to the vision. Um, you know, not every startup is always going to be a successful company, but when it is, you can look back and be like, see the finished product or see somebody using something or hear customer, customers basically giving you feedback on things and like, damn, I had a hand in that. Like my opinion, my time, my abilities contributed to what people are using now, and especially with what we're doing. How cool is that going to be to sit back and look and say, "Damn, even if it's something that seems so small, like that little piece of what I did contributed to changing somebody's life or saving somebody's life or helping somebody believe something they didn't believe about themselves." I think that's probably the most beautiful thing you can really do. As far as like a business or work is like having that feeling that you changed somebody's life and that you know, you save somebody's life. I mean, like, what better feeling is there from a business standpoint than that?
I agree. I feel like even like in my case, whenever I was finishing grad school last year, I remember I was thinking about or trying to find different opportunities and things like that for when I graduated, just to see what my next step was going to be. And there's all sorts. There's no shortage of corporate jobs in Orlando or in data science. There's so many, and I could definitely have gone down that path. But I still remember that when my advisor sent me the internship notice for you guys for advancing technologies my first semester back in 2020, and I was like, that sounds awesome. They work with combat sports. I want to hit them up. I remember I saved it, and then I was like, you know what, I have to take a chance on this because I love combat sports, and if this goes as well as I think it's gonna go, then that'd be awesome. I get to not only work on something that I think is really interesting, but something that can make an impact on a sport that I really care about. A sport that is something that if I wasn't working, I would be watching anyways. If I would be doing something related to that sport, regardless. So the fact that I could find a job and do something that helps that was like a dream come true for me. So that's I think finding something that really like gives you that feeling like you're making an impact is so important to what you do because it's so much more motivation, you know.
Yeah, and I love one of the quotes I love, which, is a little bit of, BS, but if you love what you do, you'll never work another day in your life. You're not going to love every day, but overall, you know even the small things that you kind of don't want to do, or it seems like trivial, it's contributing to, the dream. And with that being said, it's kind of like, um, you know, you want kind of to help something that you believe in. For Justin's combat sports, and just also for in talking with all of us, it's just coming up with something really really cool that's going to help humanity as a whole. And um, in that sense, you kind of do love what you do, because you're contributing to that greater good. And that's the beauty of a startup is like you're basically putting yourself in a world and in a realm of what you like to do, what you believe in, an industry that you are interested in. That's kind of the beauty of this a startup is, um, it's not that corporate world where you're being handed tasks that are about that corporation or their products. And like I said, you can join a corporation that you love and enjoy and really feel like you're contributing. But a startup, you kind of really have a real say in what industry you're targeting, what individuals that you're selling to, what stores you're going to be in. Like if it speaks to you and it means something to you, it's very easy to join a startup that says all those things that fit who you are as a person.
Yeah, I would completely agree there, and it's like you just also just feel more connected to the people you're working with. And I mean, I do, I feel like at any time I could call up the people I work with and, you know, talk to them and, like it's not like, okay, see you next week. I probably won't talk outside of work. Like I've created some genuine friendships and, like almost a brotherhood with some of the people on this call and some of the other people in our company, and it's
Yeah,
very cool to have that kind of a vibe and not just be doing work that is like busy work or that is like you do it and you're never gonna see it again. Like you don't know if someone else is gonna use it. Like I can think of so many times when I've done something and I like genuinely know that like what I did made a huge impact on the direction of the company or like even just like getting the company to the next step. And I think that's a really really cool feeling.
So for you, Ricky, since you've been at this for so long, how was your experience working for this company? Like, how does it compare now to when the early days, the early years when you were really like getting started? How does that kind of compare?
that's a good question, Justin. The early years were a little sad, a little more depressing, a little more scary. Because you're all alone. You know what I mean? You're all alone. You're by yourself. You start questioning yourself. There's like, know if you guys have heard the term imposter syndrome.
Yeah,
That's a big thing early on, especially myself not having a technology background. And somebody that has a technology background is building a technology business. Obviously, they can with their hands or their mind develop something and say, okay, wow, I can actually make this happen. I know from my experience, from my previous knowledge, that I can make this happen. When you don't know that something could be made, that you don't know if even possible or feasible, and you start a business around that. I mean, it's frightening. The frustration of how to even get started is super scary and super. I don't know. It wears on you because it's like, am I doing the right thing here? And that's the way it started. It was just like some really lonely days and nights. Questioning myself, like wondering if family members are questioning you, wondering if your friends are questioning you. People, you start questioning yourself. Am I a dumbass for doing this? You know what I mean? Um, and then from that point to today, it's like a completely different turnaround. Obviously, I don't feel alone anymore because I have you guys and others not on picture, not on this call. And yeah, the imposter syndrome starts fading away. You believe it can actually happen. Once you get other people start believing it as well, it's like, okay, I'm not crazy. Maybe there's some other people that are crazy along with me, but you know I invite the crazy because, like, if you see my vision, and it becomes your vision and it becomes your dream, then we're all a little crazy and we're gonna make crazy things happen. And that I think that's the main difference now is I don't feel alone. I know it's possible. I know we're onto something amazing, and I'm just always thankful for you guys hopping on because I always reference this all the time, but I always think about it all the time as well as all of the people that kind of came into this and walked away from it, ghosted me, left me for dead. And you guys, were the first set of people, including you, Justin. I know you came in a little later that have stuck by me and were loyal and it's like I said, it's kind of one of those things. It's not a revenge thing, but it's like a kind of looking back, like, you should have believed in me and you should have stuck by me. Now watch, these other people that stuck by me, watch the amazing things that they contribute, the amazing product we put out, and the amazing, life that they're able to live because they were loyal to the company. They were loyal to me. They were, loyal to the dream. It's kind of that slap in the face, with success, and that's really, really what I want. And I hate to have like a like almost a negative tone with this, but it's like, it's kind of fuel. It was fuel, you know what I mean? People leaving and walking away, and especially in a startup where you need people, you need help, you need loyalty. Those people walking away, they fuel my fire, and that's what's pushed me to keep this going and pushes me to like prove people wrong and prove people wrong for walking away and not believing in me, not believing in this dream, and that's what's gonna make us kick the asses of all these other companies, and you know, I don't know. I don't know. It just angers me when I think about that, and gets me fired up because I'm ready to I'm ready to knock people's socks off, knock consumer socks off, and just have people being like, wow, I was gonna say something, a bad term there, but I really messed up. You know what I mean? I should have believed in this guy. I should have believed in this company and the dream. And yeah, no, I thank you guys for your loyalty. And it's, you know, I believe in like the saying. I think I've told you guys this off camera, but feast with the ones you starve with. You know what I mean? We starve as in a startup. You're gonna starve. You know what I mean? But you just got to know that feast is coming, and when you finally get it, you're just gonna sit and enjoy it, and with your brothers that you and sisters that you built the company with, and that's to me that's what a startup is, starving and feasting with your brothers and sisters that helped you build it, and yeah, we'll be feasting, and I'm not gonna be one of these Instagram people that shows their feast on Instagram every week or anything like that, but trust one and believe that we will be feasting.
You
So I
mentioned,
know,
oh, go ahead.
so I know Ricky just mentioned a couple of the challenges, of working in a startup. Justin, do you have any, challenges that you've experienced, in the startup lifestyle? Because, it's not all. I mean, we've said a lot of good things about a startup, but not everything is a good thing. There's also bad things or, things that, you're like, oh man, I wish I didn't have to deal with that, but they're a part of a startup lifestyle.
Right. I have an answer to that, and I have a question for Ricky too. I think the challenge that I feel like we've run into a lot is just having to deal with like the waiting game, because there's a lot of things that I
Yes.
feel like that are just so we the things that we can control. I feel like we're able to get done like that right away, but there's so many other things like Ricky, you told me about getting the patent done and how long that took. And there's so many other things that just take so much time, and it's kind of like you can't really do anything about it. You just have to
Yeah.
sit there and just wait for it to be done. And it's hard because we're all anxious. We all want to get started on so many other aspects of this company and stuff, but it's just like we have to sit here and wait. And I feel like that's the toughest part because we're all mentally just like ready to go, but you
Yeah.
know, sitting there and just biding your time is that's been pretty challenging actually. But actually, I mean, to Ricky, I had a question for you because you were talking
Hmm.
about like imposter syndrome and stuff like that. That's something I feel like
Hmm.
everyone goes through at certain points. Like I went through that like in grad school and stuff. Like it was a very technical program and stuff. Was there like a certain moment or a certain like when did that feeling go away? Was it a certain accomplishment you found with this company or after a couple of years or how did that end up going away?
I don't think I don't, it's not. I don't think it ever fully goes away, to be honest. I think every step that you take, there's some new form of imposter syndrome.
Right.
So, when I first started, and even like getting the name, registering the business, there was imposter syndrome around that. You eventually get over that when you start to actually meet people and talk to them, and then start getting the bank account. Okay, I actually have a business. It was registered. I have a bank account now. You know what I mean? There's a little bit of money in that bank account. Um, that imposter syndrome starts to go away. Then the is this a legit business? Imposter syndrome comes up.
Mm,
And you start to think, okay, do I even have, I have an idea here, but can I make it into a business? Can this idea actually be a product? And so, that kind of went away um, after the, MVP product was built by Georgia Tech grad students. I knew it was feasible, so I was like, okay, I can actually develop a product here. But hey, I just still don't have a business. And so like every step that you go, even the patent, like I'm like, who am I to have a patent? I'm just Ricky. I'm not a tech guy. I just, I have this idea, and then, you kind of question that. Then the patent comes through, that kind of goes away. So it's just like every hurdle, there's gonna be some element of imposter being, having imposter syndrome. But I would say overall, like the overall like feeling like, hey, why should I be here? Why am I doing this? Why us? That's kind of gone away. I think when I had other people start believing with me. Um, I think that kind of went away as I've started to like talk about it more and feel like it was more of a part of me and who I am than me just being somebody wondering, oh, like, is it, can I, or am I, or, the more and more you go out and talk about it and the more and more that you get feedback on it, the more that imposter syndrome goes away. So, yeah, that's why I'm kind of enjoying even doing this because talking on here on this platform and sharing it with the audience, the imposter syndrome, or any thoughts of having any form of imposter syndrome starts to decrease as well.
mhm. So it's like all of that past experience, it kind of like builds confidence, or it's like you believe in it even more once things really start to fall in line.
Yeah, once you start to fall in line, and then like I said, like loyal people like you guys believing in me and then sticking by me. I mean, once you have people that you can count on, I think you know the imposter syndrome kind of goes away because you kind of have to at that point like um I can't I I'll say this, I can't go backwards because you know it's not just me now, it's us, you know what I mean?
Right.
I don't want to, I don't want to disappoint you guys, let you guys down. So that's like part of the not being an imposter. I can't go back now and say, damn, Ricky can't do this or can't do that because I want this for you guys also now. It's not just me, you know what I mean? And I think that's yeah, that's how the imposter syndrome starts going away. Is like people believe in you, and you have to start believing in yourself first and foremost. But then to have the belief of others that you love and trust, it means the world to you, and that's what allows you to kind of get over that. Because I can't go backwards and be an imposter now. Like we've come too far, and we got to make this happen. So
Right. How about you, Sean? Do you have like a challenging, your biggest challenge, I guess, or anything of that nature?
I would say one of the biggest challenges that I've come across um, is people who don't understand the startup life. Because there's a lot of people who, are under the belief that you should just, graduate, get a job, pay the bills,
Mm,
and do everything the cookie cutter way. And,
mm-hmm.
when you don't do the cookie cutter way, like I've had people before and, it's very good and I personally have a great support system and a lot of people who believe in me and believe in this vision for me with me. But there have been, some people who've been like, who've said something like, "Oh, when are you gonna get a real job?" And it's like, I have a real job. Just because you don't see me doing something all the time, or like just because I'm not, posting about it on LinkedIn or, like bragging about how I'm on a company trip somewhere, it's like just because you don't see what's going on doesn't mean that it's not a real thing. And I think that's something that like startups have to deal with more so than other companies. Um, but it's something that I think too. The more that you share and the more that you're able to speak on it and grow as with the company, the more that that's going to go away, and the more people are going to be like, okay, you are doing this, and like it's working. So it's kind of similar to that imposter syndrome. It's like it's not necessarily that I feel like an imposter, but other people kind of are like, are you
Mm-hmm.
sure that this is the right path? It's like sometimes you
Mm-hmm.
just have to tell them like, yes, it's my path. If I'm making a mistake, I'll make it myself. But I'm not making a mistake. I'm gonna do what's best for me and see it through. So that's I think been one of the more difficult challenges is getting other people to be okay, I guess, with the path that you've chosen to take.
I, I'm gonna say this about that as well, Sean. It's like there's two things about that. There's either these, a lot of people that come at you that way. Um, like you said, that either they just don't understand it, or the other side of it is they see you doing something or putting yourself out there in a way that they wish they could. A lot of people aren't willing because, bottom line, this is all a risk. You know what I mean? This is all a risk, but a lot of people don't see that because they themselves have never taken a risk. In a way, they kind of admire, a lot of times admire you because you are willing to take a risk and put yourself on the line and put your full effort and heart into something to see it grow. But the other, another side of that too is every one of these companies. I mean, I can pick up my phone right now and Samsung, but that was these people took a risk to do that. You know what I mean? If they didn't take that risk to do it and they just jumped off because somebody told them, "Oh, well, is that the right path?" That phone wouldn't be in my hand right now. You know, same thing with anything, the AirPods that you have, and any of these things, somebody took a risk to make that happen. And as much as people say, you don't have a real job or anything, tell that to these people that produce this. Tell that to the people that your Apple headphones. You think that they're thinking about that conversation they had with those people years ago? No, they're laughing at them. And I think I take it as a badge of honor when somebody questions it and like or even talks shit or anything like that because it lets me know I'm on the right path because I think all of these companies that we I just mentioned a second ago, um, you know they they're doing exactly what we're doing now, and you know as much as they didn't take they went off of the beaten path, and with no risk there's no reward, and yeah, so I take that as a badge of honor when people question and ask because if it was easy everybody would be doing it, and when people question me or there's haters or anything like that, I know I'm on the right path. I know I'm doing something different because people don't question regular people. They question extraordinary people and they question extraordinary situations because that's how we stand out. That's how we're different. We're not like everybody else. I'm not like anybody else. I think differently than other people. We're building something that's different from anything else out there. And so, yeah, it's a badge of honor when anybody questions me. When you tell me those stories about people questioning you, I'm like, good. And, that's cool. I like hearing that. We're on the right path. Like, because we're not doing normal shit here.
So Ricky, one final question I think for you would be, what advice do you have for anyone who's, wants to start their own business or wants to, work at a startup or something like that? Like what advice would you give to them as, someone who's done it and is doing it right now?
Um, if you're starting up your own business, just what is your do you have a vision? Do you have a passion? One thing I don't like to hear is people that start something because they think it's going to make money. Um, you should first be identifying a problem. The best problems to identify to build a company around are something that is your own trouble, something that in your daily life is a bother to you, or maybe it's your mother, your father, your brother, sister, husband, wife, whatever. They have a pain point that you recognize, that you want to help with, that you're passionate about helping with. I think that's kind of where you start, or it's just something that you thought of that can help people, or something you don't think of that's just different out there. Like, it just all starts with a dream. It all starts with having that dream, and then taking the necessary steps to bring that dream into reality. And the same for somebody joining a startup. Like, everybody has something that's near and dear to them, something they believe in. And people are always starting companies based on their beliefs or how they want to change this world. And so I think you join one of those startups, and you know you don't even have to be proficient at any one skill, but just lend your hand. Like, we all pitch in. We're all in the mud getting dirty every day with just different things, various things. Every day is different. Um, and so you do that, but don't let anybody, tell you you can't do it. Don't let anybody, as crazy as your vision or your dream might be, don't let anybody stop you from making it happen. Like, the moment you let people talk you out of it, you don't. It's not for you, because this isn't easy. It's a grind. It's not glorious, And so if you're in it for the glory or the glamour, don't do this. Um, and you just got to be relentless, in relentless pursuit of that dream or that vision, and you never let up on it. You got to keep going, in the face of anything that comes at you. And yeah, it's um, let the vision be at the forefront of everything you do. And yeah, that would be my advice to anybody that wants to start a startup. But the most important thing is just start the damn thing. That's why it's called a startup. So just get started. Don't hesitate, and don't hesitate because somebody else. If you're thinking about it, somebody else is already doing it. So just make it happen.
Good advice.
Anything else, you guys? Anything else? I feel like this was a very therapeutic episode. We kind of felt like I got some stuff off my chest.
Yeah, I just wanted to take a quick second and if you haven't checked out our website, extropiantech.com, please check it out. We have articles on there written by two of my fellow podcast attendees. Justin wrote one about working at a startup, just what this episode's about. Ricky wrote one about, kind of what he was just talking about too, turning an idea into a business. And we've got a couple other articles on there as well. So definitely, check that out. Check out our other podcast episodes if you like this content. Yeah, that's all I wanted to toss in there.
Justin, any final words from you?
Nope, just excited to see where this goes.
Yeah, I really like this episode, to be honest. I hope the audience likes this episode as well. I hope we're able to help anybody. And if you do have any questions, like, obviously I'm far from an expert. I'm getting better every day, I get stronger, I'm becoming more confident every day. And nobody's ever the expert at anything. I think it's a continual growth within all of us. And I think we talked about all the positives with a startup. I think that's the most beautiful thing, is the personal growth each one of us has had. The tools that we can all say we've added to our tool belt. Yeah, that's the true beauty of a startup, is who you become. If you could, there's some toxic situations, but if you have a typical startup where you're building a legit business and there's none of the toxicity involved, you all become somewhat different person. You learn and you grow, and that's the beauty of a startup versus maybe your corporation. There's just some growth there, but I don't think it's anything like a startup and growing it from the ground up. Um, but yeah, we want to always bring you guys along on the journey with us. We want to do things unconventionally. Our products is unconventional. We want to bring you guys on the journey with us. So, if you have any interest in learning more about our startup, anything more about our product, leave some comments in the comments section. If you like what we're saying, leave a like or subscribe. If you don't like what we're saying, hey, thanks for the listen. Either way, we're coming. Like our product is coming. We're coming. I kind of like what Thanos said. Hide from it, run from it. It's inevitable. It's coming. That's us. So be on the lookout for our product. We'll be revealing a little bit more soon. And if you want to, reach out to us about maybe your startup and pick our brains, we're happy to talk to you. So, with that being said, this is another amazing episode of the Built Different podcast. I hope you guys have a blessed week, a productive week, and we'll see you guys.
I think we lost Ricky.
We might have lost Ricky, but I think he was about to wrap up the episode anyway. So yeah, thank you all for listening, and see you again next week.